Welcome to the Outer Realms with Michelle DeRoche and Amelia Pisano. Airing live on the United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM in New Orleans.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Wednesday night segment of The Outer Realm. We're broadcasting live on the United Public Radio Network, UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 and 107.7 FM from the beautiful city of New Orleans. We're fully sponsored by the amazing people over at Folgers Coffee, who have been a part of our journey since the beginning. So thank you, Folgers. It would not be the same without you. Also, big thank you to Dr. Snick, the sonic surgeon, a.k.a. Justin Snicker, for his contribution of his time, his music, and his voice for the intro that you just heard. He's an award-winning composer of Halloween horror, sci-fi, and dark wave electronic music, and it can be found on any of your favorite music streaming platforms. Also, big thank you to Steve McGinnis, the artist behind the banners and logos here at the show. Check him out on Facebook and Instagram. He also specializes in the horror genre and does phenomenal commission pieces, books, comic book illustrations, you name it, he does it. He's just amazing. Tonight, we welcome for the very first time, Devara ThunderBeat. I've really been looking forward to this one. She's going to be discussing her book, Look Up My Personal Encounters with ETs and Angels. So she is essentially going to be discussing about her lifelong encounters with these incredible beings. And I know I cannot wait. So for anybody who wants to participate, please know we have 7 chat rooms and everything is going to be coming into, kind of picture 7 lanes coming into one. So we can see everything coming up. Unfortunately, you can only answer them so quick. And we do have to keep up with the guests, not the other way around, but we do our best. So I see people are chiming in right now as put up some comments. Reality for you, looking forward to the show. I went to her Cosmic Awakening conference in Sedona last April. It was very professionally done. Oh, fantastic. I know we have her booked at least another 2 times. So you have a lot to look forward to. Also, Wayne. Thank you. Oh, good evening, everyone. This should be an amazing show tonight. It shall. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you. Make you like an honorary host from Flying Solo. Also, Janie, hello, Michelle and Amelia. Love you ladies so much. Oh, we love you too, Janie. Keeping Sav in my prayers, Amelia. Yes, and Amelia would love to be here, but we have a rule, family first, and that's how it goes. And right now she is at home with her daughter who needs her. So family first, but I'm sure she'll be listening in, and I know she hates missing the show. So boo on that. But unfortunately, that's how it goes. We need to send good vibes, lots of prayers, big hugs, lots of light, you name it, and let's just get all that vibration and frequency working her way. Devara, ThunderBeat. The name means Thunderbeat. Oh, hold on. I think our guest of honor has arrived. So let's just jump over to that and let's not waste a moment. Bam!
Hi!
Hi, how are you?
Great. I'm excited. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh my gosh, it's a pleasure. Thank you so much for indulging my request and coming on board and talking about all of your phenomenal experiences. Mm-hmm. I'm really excited. I've really been looking forward to this. It was when I first contacted you, I'm like, oh my God, there's just so much I want to talk about. What do I want to talk about first? So that's pretty much how
I do so many things. I'm very creative and musician all my life. And Never thought I was going to write a book. Now I'm up to 4 books.
4. Oh my gosh. Oh
Yeah,
my gosh. That takes a lot of time, and you're a
sure
very busy
does.
lady. So,
Eh, people
but
have no idea.
oh yeah. Well, I'm glad you took the time out and came to hang out with us tonight. So,
Thank you.
we do have 7 chat rooms, just to give you a little bit of warning. So people are pretty good, but it's like 7 coming into it like one lane, so we don't feel any pressure. We'll put them up as we go. We're also an FM station. So, I'll have to try to read them out as they come up, and I'll pop them up on the screen like this. Yes, Chris. Always late. That's okay. We love it. You're here.
I'm late.
I know. So
No, you're right
that's
on
okay.
time.
I know. We're just getting, the fun's just about ready to start. So I really wanted to start with your book, Look Up, because I'm an experiencer as well.
Nice.
So it really resonates with me. Mind you, everything you do resonates with me, but
Nice.
I thought this would be a good place to start, especially with all of the stuff with disclosure, and like we're rolled right into the whole conference in Mexico and stuff today or yesterday, and I thought to myself, Jesus. So I think there's just a lot of misinformation, a lot of fear, a lot of things like that, and I really like to try to put a positive spin where we can, because not every situation is scary, and I don't want to diminish anybody's experiences who maybe haven't been so pleasant. But I've had very pleasant experiences, and I've been very fortunate. So where do you want to start? How does one doesn't just come up and go, I'm going to write a book? So
Okay. Well, let's see. Oh my, where do I start? Well, first I want to say, yeah. The reason I wrote the book, because I want to talk about the benevolent, loving ETs. And they make up a lot of lies about the ETs. I'm going to tell you, because I've met many different races, I guess, or whatever you want to call them, throughout my life. And they've
right.
all been loving, high frequency, loving beings. And yes, that's my book. So let me start with my first encounter.
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah, my first encounter, I was 4 years old. I'm from upstate New York, Rochester. I was playing in the driveway, broad daylight, and I call it a cloud chip, because it was like a UFO or a flying saucer or starship, cloaked in a cloud in broad daylight, so no one could see
I've
it.
seen those. They're pretty neat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of people call them lenticular clouds. I said, no. Sorry.
No.
No. So they were pulling me up into the ship while, from the driveway. And as they were pulling me up, my mother ran out of the house and trying to catch me, and they pulled her up too. So that's where it begins. So when they were pulling me up, I saw the steam coming out of the ship, making the cloud. And then it had 3 bars of lights around it, the primary colors, yellow, red, and blue. And I say primary colors because it's very important. I'm an artist, and you take those 3 colors and mix to make other colors,
Right.
So,
Right.
So then I didn't remember everything. I guess, well, what they told me was like when they bring you up in the ships, it's a very high frequency, and they bring you back down, it's a very low frequency. So that's another reason why you start forgetting when you come down.
Interesting.
Not just because they wipe your memory, but they
Right.
don't want to put you in fear either. So,
Right.
so they brought me back down, and I remember tumbling in the middle of the air in slow motion, of all things. And I looked at, they were bringing me back to the driveway where I was playing. And I said, oh my, I'm going to hit my head on the driveway. I'm going to hurt myself. I need to land on my hands. And as soon as I said that, I flipped around really fast, landed on my hands. My cat was there, jumped 10 feet in the air. So I must have came out of nowhere.
that would have been a sight.
And my mom's runs out of the house going, "Where have you been? I was ready to call the police. I've been looking all over for you." So they must
Wow.
have brought her back, pretty instantly or something. I don't even know how long I was up there. I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And that's pretty normal, I guess, with missing time,
Yeah.
being gone for like hours, you're coming back. It's like, oh, it felt like minutes. It's the
Right.
same age-old story, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't
Yes.
know. But my mother eventually remembered, we're talking decades later. And then I remembered everything from getting a regression from Dolores Cannon.
So you went for the regression. Is
Yeah.
it one of those, you can't turn back sort of situation? Like once you start, you really do have to come to terms with whatever the experience is. Because I mean, it sounds to me like your experiences was maybe similar to mine with the fact that they were fairly benign and enlightening.
Yeah.
So
I would love to
easy
hear your
to do.
experience too. Did you write
Yeah.
a book?
Right. You write a book. That's what you do.
Yeah. Well, my star family said all my life, do not write anything down. It is not time and it is not safe. So I
I
didn't.
believe that.
So they came in right after 2012, like I'll remember the date, January 11th, 2013. And they said, okay, it's time now. So I did it all by memory. And I said, you guys are going to have to help me because we're talking since 4 years old. And they did.
Yes.
They did. It just flowed out of me. And they actually said, I got it done in about 7 months, which is fast. People don't realize it takes
Wow.
sometimes years to write a book. And I was on it 8-10 hour days, and they were even going, wow. They were like going,
Give her more. Give her more.
well, they said we didn't realize you're going to do it so quick, So I got it out,
Right. Right.
and it was there's a lot of I kept it as positive as possible, because there was
Right.
some weird situations in there of being followed around, and they want
That's
to know what I know.
right. So yeah, so you're getting in with some MyLab stuff or some, the MIB sort of thing. But that makes sense. I hear that a lot as well.
Yeah.
So I guess that's why they want you to remember only at a certain time. Hence the comment when it was safe. I've heard that. I've been told that as well. So
Nice.
I just come here on radio and blabber it all off. There, yeah, y'all know.
So, so they told me the reason they took me up at 4 was to remind me my mission.
Oh,
Yeah. So they said they work with color, light, sound, which I do,
right.
and frequencies, and they've taught me, I guess, downloaded me information about the color is sound. They were telling me, and they put me in a room and shined golden light onto me, and they said my name was Flying Eagle with many wings.
Wow.
Yeah, and I said that sounds very Native American. I'm half Native American, so I asked my
Love
uncle.
that.
Yeah, I asked my uncle. I said, I told him the situation, and he goes, well, what do you think we get our names from? We get them from the star people. And I'm like,
I love that, Devara. I
yeah,
love that.
it's Devara. I know everybody gets it.
Sorry. Huh. I'm
Everybody
French.
Devara.
Oh my gosh. Try to be all sophisticated. Like I said, I'm French. Nothing ever comes out right.
Am I seeing things? Is that a drum set behind you?
A what?
It looks like it. For some reason, I thought it looked like a drum set for a second.
Oh gosh, no. No, there's actually my home is pretty much filled with 2 and 3, 400-year-old medieval revival furniture. So there's thrones back there, there's chainmail, and of course Amelia, my compadre, who usually joins me and is home with a daughter who's ill, made me this little alien in the back. So I
That's
just
cool.
photobomb him and make sure he's always in the shot. So it makes me feel like she's here with us.
So they said that what is your star family? Do you know?
I do not.
Okay, well they told me it's Sirius A, and they brought me actually. There's so many things involved. But they brought me actually in 2013. Was it? Let's see. Yeah, it was 2013 again towards I don't know. I don't remember the date, but they brought me and they picked me up in the ship and they brought me inside the sun. Yes, they live inside the sun. And I know it sounds unbelievable, but it's
But
not
they
hot.
show crafts now that come in and out of it,
Yeah.
like with a telescope. So that's amazing that you say that.
Yeah. And they said it's not hot or whatever. It's like they're saying or something. I'm not
Right.
I don't know the physics of it, but
Right.
so yeah, before that happened, I was being picked up by other races, which was like didn't know until I got the regressions, and I actually had 2 regressions before I wrote the book. I had didn't remember a lot. I remember I moved to Florida and I was getting a lot of contact there. I would go to the beach.
Bet you were.
Huh?
It's a hot zone.
Is it? Yeah. Well, this is in Sarasota, Bradenton, Florida. I have, I'm an animal lover. I have a dog, and they wouldn't allow dogs in the beach, so I'd sneak her down at 1:00 in the morning.
Right.
And she's a Labrador, so she loves the water.
Yeah.
So we'd play till sunrise, me and her, and she'd be, in the water and chasing the waves and all that. And then I think the second or third time I brought her down at 1:00, I had major missing time. It was like 15 minutes later, it was sunrise, and I couldn't find Sheba, my dog. And I'm like, and we never, parked.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Sheba, where are you? Where are you? And I'm looking all over for you, and I'm going crazy, and I'm looking in the road. I hope she didn't get hit by a car. And then all of a sudden I see her way down at the end of the beach, like almost like a half a mile down, and she's running towards me. And she jumped on me and almost knocked me down, and she's never done that before. She was so happy to see me.
Oh.
So something, she knew.
And she was left behind.
She knew what was happening. I think she followed the ship. And
wow.
Yeah, so that's what then I found
frightening.
Out. Yeah, for both of us, with the dog thing.
Yeah, especially. Yeah, I know.
But then they found out that they were the Andromedans that picked me up. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how was that? I mean, like they just kind of like passing you around there. Like, are they all connected or?
Yeah, they are. They said that they recognized me.
Okay.
They said, I don't want to sound egotistical, but my star family said that I am a star commander.
Very nice.
Yeah, so I met many races, before I came here on this lifetime.
Yes.
And they actually told me, my star family told me, and they're Syrians, that that I actually brought a fleet of ships to save the Lyrans from the Draconians before they blew up the planet. And they blew up one of the Lyran planets. And I brought them and picked them up, and they were like the Lion people and the Lyrans, both.
Right.
And gave them a home on Sirius A.
Wow.
Yeah,
wow.
And then I actually, when they showed me the vision, they showed me a screen, and they showed me with the fleet of ships, and bringing them back, and I couldn't get all of them, and I saw the planet blow up, and I was crying.
That's so hard.
Yeah, and they were saying there was millions that were, there was 2.5. I think there was only 2 or 3 million people on the whole planet, but I couldn't get them all.
Oh, that's got to be so hard. I think people don't realize that we don't always incarnate here on this planet.
Yeah,
that you can incarnate pretty much anywhere.
Anywhere you want to go, other places to experience. The reason I came down here was to help because it's chaotic.
Right.
I bring in light frequencies. I'm a sound healer. I'm a pioneer in sound healing since the early 90s. I'm a musician all my life.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm doing a lot of sound healing and raising people's frequency, getting rid of their old fear, stress, drama,
I
trauma
love that.
stuff, and raising their frequency,
Right.
getting them ready for the next step.
Well, everything is about vibration frequency, isn't it?
Yes.
Literally everything.
Yeah.
So I know that's that. You guys are going to all have to tune in into the December segment for that one. We're just going to fix you all up in time for the holidays.
There you go. We'll do some sound healing first, everybody.
I love it. So who's the first group that picked you up when you were 4?
Sirius A.
Sirius A. Okay, so if somebody wanted to know, like, are they humanoid? Are they like Andromedans? Would they be humanoid, or are we talking another form of tall white? Because there's many that look like they have the bigger eyes, and people also have to realize that when they come here, they wear lenses. They usually have nice big blue eyes, don't they?
Yeah. Well, the Sirius A that I met, there's more than one kind of race there. They're just like, planet Earth has millions of really things, animals,
Right.
species. The ones I met there, and I have pictures in my book of all of them I met. There was the ones that look like grays, that they were not gray, they were pink. And they had emotions. Now I've met grays, they're very more robotic.
Right.
Okay. So yeah. So AI kind of thing.
Yes.
So the pink ones had beautiful feelings and emotions, and okay, they're starting to attack me now. Okay, hold on. Return to sender now.
Right.
So they just don't want me to tell this information because they want to keep everybody in fear.
Well, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
I mean,
they're using the fear. The dark side is using the fear to control everybody. So
yes, food.
Fear is the opposite of love.
Yes.
I want to remind everybody that it's not hate is not the opposite of love. It's fear.
That's right.
So,
that's right.
So I met the pink beans, and I met a triangle bean. He was purple. He was about 5 feet high, and they transferred me into a ship. Well, when they brought me to Sirius A, we went through a tunnel, and then we came out, and I saw the planet. And it was surrounded by beautiful purple light. And they transferred me into another ship to go into the sun. And before they did that, this purple being went around me, and it was bouncing, like floating and bouncing around me. That's the best way I can describe it. And I said, what is he doing? And they said, well, he is looking for immoral implants because they are not allowed inside the sun.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's fascinating to me. Because you hear a lot of stories about implants, and some, allegedly some races do use them, some don't. But then there's that age-old argument that extraterrestrials per se wouldn't need to implant you, much like the human counterparts who shouldn't be.
Right. They're physical implants. You feel them. Those are negative.
Right.
Okay. And then because if the higher frequency beings like Sirius A would put more etheric implants in you. So then they brought me inside the sun, and I met the pink beings, and then I met the commander. His name was Salu, and he had white feathers for hair.
Wow.
He was beautiful. He's looked human, but very, very pink skin. His eyes were golden triangles pointing down, glowing, and but he had these white feathers for hair. I don't know, about whatever that is, 8 or 9 inches long.
Yeah,
it's beautiful. And I have a picture of him. My friend did a really nice job of making what they look like, what he looks like. But there was different kinds of other beings there. There was and then people ask me, what did the ship look like? Everything is clean, simple, and there's no buttons. There's no nothing.
Right. Because it's thought controlled, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all thought
It's all,
control, or they
it's all
wave their hand over
yeah,
things, and
right,
and everything's clean and simple. We
right.
make everything so complicated down here.
Well, it is because we're very materialistic and primitive on the grand scheme of things, right?
Yeah.
So we like our things and our gadgets. Right,
So the Andromedans I met were human looking.
right, right.
They were very human looking. One kind of looked like a ant like, but it was more human ant, if that makes any
Right.
sense.
Hybrid.
Probably hybrid. I don't know how to explain
Okay.
it.
Right.
I'm trying to think back. Yeah, they were human, and they actually invited me. They said, we'd like you to well, they're being very secretive. They asked me to live on their island. I said, "Where's your island?" They said, "Out there." Their island was their ship.
Right.
They invited me to live there, and I didn't.
Interesting.
Yeah, I didn't understand it at that time at
Right.
all. That was in 1997,
Right.
and I was just going, "Well, I don't know. I got plans to do things here." I said,
I'm good, but thanks. Right.
"Sometimes
Wow.
I wish I went."
They're like, what is it with this person? I I think it's, I mean, it speaks volumes, obviously, that they had a very high regard for you to ask you to stay with them,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because
I
so
think
many people have experiences, and by the time they're done, they just land on their heads, you're back in bed, and that's the end of it.
yeah, I think that they knew more about me than I knew about myself. That's for sure.
Right,
I really do. Um,
right,
yeah,
right.
yeah. I don't remember meeting any Palladians. A lot of Palladians. People talk about Palladians all the time. I
All
don't
the time. Yeah.
never met them that I remember. Um, I've met Arcturians, and they are just so loving and so intelligent.
Right.
Have you met them? I
I
feel
you
like
know,
it.
I don't have a lot of recollections. I mean, I have, been wide awake, getting ready to go to bed, and I've got like a 5 foot gray standing there just staring at me, and I'm just like, nope. I just roll over and go to bed. I don't have, aside from the grays, or tall whites or light beings. Those are the ones that come to me. And light beings, to me, they're very heavy footed. They're just very, I mean,
Really.
full on, very, very bright, just like you just kind of see the outlines. You don't really see faces or anything like that, but just
They're more
beautiful.
translucent.
Yes, but very bright for me.
Mhm.
But again, heavy footed. Like sometimes I just feel like, gosh, was a herd of elephants coming in here. But
Really
yes,
interesting.
it is interesting. Yes. And so I don't really see those features.
Hmm. Interesting. Well, we should have a regression that really helps.
Yeah, I went to do that once, and then it's just like they just sort of screamed out, like, "No,
Really
protection," is what they keep saying, protection. So I
interesting.
don't know, maybe I'm being watched. So I'm just being very careful right
Hmm.
now.
Hmm.
So
Well, and I also met when I was there, inside the sun. I call it. It's Sirius A. The golden ones. I call them the golden ones. I have pictures of them too. They were, speaking of, couldn't see their faces. It was just pure golden light, and they had golden dresses or golden clothes on,
mm,
which blended in with their light. But they emanated. The whole room emanated in golden light around them.
very nice.
They're beautiful, and they're
Right.
just,
Do you think maybe that's what the mix-up is, light beings and the golden ones being so, because to me they're very, very bright.
no. I've met the ones you're talking about too.
Okay, good. So they're
White, pure
different.
white light.
Yes.
Yeah, and you can't see their features, but you can see
No.
an outline.
Yes.
No, they're different. They're very different than them.
Okay.
Yeah. So
It's an honor either way. I love to hear people's stories when they have these phenomenal encounters, especially when they're they're positive.
Yeah.
So I mean, how does this, as a young person and coming to terms with everything, how did this affect you, going throughout your life? I mean, adulthood we can rationalize, but when you're 4 years old and they're saying we have to remind you what your mission is, you're four going, what? What are you on about?
Like I said, I didn't remember till I had the regression
Right.
many years later.
Yeah.
Where all that information came out. 2005 is when I had the first
Right.
regression, which was decades later. But
Right.
I was always creative, independent. I didn't care what people thought. I became a drummer, full set drummer in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, where females don't play drums, and I was
That's
playing with
true.
all guys rock bands
I love it.
in New York City. That's what I
love
said. I'm going to be doing this the rest of my life. Well, I don't do it as much anymore, but
it.
on to other missions, like I said, the sound healing, and
Yes.
I do a 22 DNA activation.
Right.
That and then oh my God, I'm doing so many different other projects now that are so much fun.
Right. Oh, I bet. I bet. Sounds like you've been on quite the journey so far. And it's funny because with the 22 DNA activation, that you're essentially waking people up. So
Yes.
I could very much see that being a part of what you're meant to do,
Yeah.
because eventually that's, I think, on the grand scheme of things, you have to go out, use whatever platform you're given. And for me, I mean, I've been in media and television for 20 years. So this is just one more avenue of what I do or what I've been doing. And it's giving a platform. And I've had people from just all walks of life come on and, share their research and their experiences. And I think that's what, maybe my role in it is just go out there and bring people out and make sure everybody has a voice.
Yeah, and tell their story, because you don't
Yeah.
hear that in movies or films. It's all made up drama.
Oh, isn't it though? So, here's a
I know.
question for you. Which was the darkest entities that you've encountered? Have you had any dark entities on your excursion? Because it sounds like it's been so.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Humans.
Ha! I agree.
Yeah. No, we have the dark ones that they knew I was taken up with the Andromedans on the beach, and then
Right.
after that they started coming into my house while I wasn't there,
Wow.
searching and following me around, wondering what I was doing, keeping tabs on me. Humans.
Right. Right.
I'm serious.
I'll tell you quickly. My producer, who Joe Montaldo, who owns the station in New Orleans, had
And
pretty
I know
much.
Joe.
Do you know Joe?
I've met it. I was on his show
Eons ago.
2013, 2014, something
He's
like
still
that.
kicking and going strong, let me tell you. But he's had many experiences, and of course spends a lot of time in Florida, and had pretty much the same experience as you
Really?
when he and his wife Linda were in Florida, and they had a 3-year-old, their son, and they had the dogs. And I think we're talking two separate instances that this happened to them. One time they were dropped back down and they went missing for a long time. And their son, they're frantically looking for their son, who comes wandering over on the beach again.
Yeah.
And another time it was their dog more recently, and their dogs are running around and they're trying to frantically find their dogs. And the dogs come running out. It's like, when you're telling your story, I'm like, where have I just heard this recently? And that's Joe. That's Joe.
Wow, I didn't know that. He never told me about any of the experiences.
Well, the one was, I think, more recent, but yeah, the other one, like, oh boy, you really should reconnect with him, because he's got all kinds of stories. I keep telling him, stay the hell out of Florida, because they keep beaming you up. And he rises up.
It's a hot spot. Gulf of Mexico.
Yes.
Then I was at a UFO conference, Gulf Breeze, Florida, which is a hot spot for UFOs.
Yes.
And it was okay. Here's that story. That is a trip. I'm setting up my table. I have a table there, and I meet this guy, Jim, and I go, I know you. Where do I know you from? And I feel like it's like a long lost family member. I've never felt like this in my life. And he just smiled, and he had a table too, and of making jewelry, made me a piece of jewelry. And he goes, "Oh, come over for dinner, me and my mom's house, and on Saturday night." I said, okay. So he goes, "It only takes 30 minutes to get there." Well,
Right. 30 minutes. Yeah. Okay.
well, I left at 9, got there at 12:30. Okay.
This
And
is a little bit of missing time.
a little bit missing time. So it was like, and he goes, "All you gotta do is one road, and there's just go straight and then take a right, go over the bridge. There's no other way to get there." I'm like, oh my God. And I'm driving and looking, and there's no houses, no other roads to turn. And I'm looking at the streetlights, but I'm trying to hurry because I don't like ever being late. And I'm looking at the streetlights, and there was no poles, there was just balls of light. And I'm going, okay. And then the road starts repeating itself. I was in a hologram. That's what I found out later through a regression. And the road kept, same curve, same tree, same curve, same tree. And I'm like, stop. And then
that would make me mad. Like, not mad as in like annoyed, but mad as in like mad.
Yeah. So I go, what? I don't know what's going on. I go, I got to ask somebody for directions. There was no houses to even stop to ask. And it was dark. And my cell phone didn't work. And what do you call it? So I saw this like a greenhouse. It was all lit up. And there's one guy was in there. And he looked like he had a doctor's suit on. So I said, let me go ask him where this long bridge is I'm supposed to cross. Mm-hmm. And there was no driveway to get into the greenhouse, and no cars. There was no cars there. So I'm like, okay, there's no way to pull in. And he was like, it was pretty far on the grass or whatever. So I kept driving. And then I see this restaurant bar, and it said open, but there's a payphone then. Okay, this was in the 90s. So there was a payphones then. I said, well, let me use the payphone. And I use the payphone, and the payphone doesn't work. It's total Twilight Zone. And I'm like, oh, so I walk in the bar. Now, wait a minute. The parking lot was empty. Not one car. Okay, but it had an open sign. So I walk into the restaurant bar. It's packed.
Okay.
It's packed.
Okay. Sounds like a riddle's coming.
Like total Twilight Zone. I asked the bartender, I said, is the bridge this way? Everybody looks at me and nods their head at the same time, like this. And I'm like, okay. And this one guy goes, do you think she knows where she is? And I said, no, I don't know where I am. I'm trying to find the bridge. Where's that confounded bridge?
Oh my God.
And I remember them when I walked in, these two guys were talking about quantum physics. And I'm like thinking, okay, I'm in the middle of nowhere in the country. Maybe they're at the UFO conference. I don't know. I was trying to make sense of it. And so I go back to the way I came, because that's the way they pointed they said I passed the bridge. I found the bridge, and I said I drove over the bridge, and I said I would have never, you could see the water and everything. You can't miss it. And I'm like, okay, so I said, all right. So I turned around and I found the street. It was right after the bridge. Take a right. Went down there, found his house, and he comes out. He goes, oh yeah. I go, I'm so sorry I'm late. He goes, it's okay. Come in. You've been through a lot.
That's not weird.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Sure. All right. Okay.
So then there was a couple in the house, and they're all sitting around the kitchen dining room table, and it says have a seat, and this couple was there, and I look over to the couple and I went, they were in the bar. that couple was in the restaurant bar. I recognize. I mean, we're talking just 5 minutes, I guess,
Right.
before that. And I'm
Right.
like, okay. And that was the ones from Andromeda. And as they were telling me they would want me to live on their island. And I said, well, what do you do on your island? And I said, well, we work. Then I said, how many people are on the island? They said 5,000. And
Google. Yeah.
and they and then what else did they said a few things. They said oh, when you can have relationships and all this, and I'm like, I go, Jim, have you been on this island? I said. He went, yes.
Wow.
And I said, oh my God, this is where I guess so I found out later through a regression that I've been on the ship before. When that was Gulf Breeze, Florida. It was when I was taken up in Sarasota, Florida.
Right.
Before that, like a couple years before that.
Right.
And what they did was they put me through this hologram, but actually they laid me down on a table and did a healing on my lungs. I used to smoke cigarettes, and they did a healing on my lungs, and it was the doctor was a praying mantis.
I've heard that.
You
Okay,
have?
how did that make you feel? Because there's just something I hear that a lot of people say, oh no, they're very delightful. Other people have terrifying experiences. All I know is, one landed on the hood of my vehicle like
What?
a few nights ago, and all you hear is boom. And I'm going, what was that? And the thing's on the vehicle. I'm in the vehicle going, oh, the bloody mantis. Big, they're big. I can't imagine anything 8 feet tall or 12 feet tall
Yes.
touching me.
Yes. Well, they all have missions. This guy was a doctor, and just like
a
people,
bug, essentially. And I hate to just be disrespectful.
but they had real fingers. They had 6 fingers and and the thumb was as long as a finger. I remember that distinctly because he actually put his hand inside my belly.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't feel a thing. I mean,
right.
I wasn't sore or anything later, but he did a healing on me, and I felt that I didn't feel negative. I mean, a lot of people's experiences, of course, taken up and they don't know what's going on, go into fear, and that fear, your fear itself, creates a chaotic situation.
I can see that because let's face it, you're in bed, you're in your bedroom. You're supposed to feel safe there.
Right.
This is your boudoir. You're supposed to feel safe.
And
all of a sudden, yeah, right. This is lurking around, and like I said, the one night I turned around, I'm not even sleeping yet, and I mean, I either have lights beaming through the house, like through the room, or turn around and somebody's standing there, and I'm just like, and then I can always tell when they come around. I'm like, let me sleep first. Let me at least feel like I'm getting a good night's sleep. Just work with me. I have a headache, everything. I go through it all. But they're very respectful. It's like, okay, and then I'll fall asleep and wake up completely like I've been worked over and, sore muscles. And it's like, oh, man.
So you feel sore after?
Sometimes I think I just work hard. Just whatever it is that they need me to do. I know. I know that I go and I do what I'm needed to do. When I go, it's all like I wake up, I feel really good about it. I get a lot of downloads, a lot of things like that. So it's just obviously an arrangement that we have that I'm apparently okay with. But my physical self saying I'm getting old and I'm tired, and I'm feeling it. I'm not 20 anymore. But all kidding aside.
You don't look tired, so
thank you. Believe me, I feel it on the inside. But I'm just whining. I'm very much happy, to be doing whatever it is I need to be doing or I've agreed to do. But it is very invasive when they're coming into your room. I've had family members said, "Oh no, somebody tried to suck me out through a window." Okay, what?
Your family member?
I had a family member. Yeah. Somebody tried to suck me out through a window. I woke up and went, hell no. And
they say it runs in the family, kind of thing.
It does.
Yeah.
It has. Yeah. I've traced it back and right down even to my ancestry. So I also have, a lot of Native Canadian, I guess, because I am from Canada, and that's my ancestry too, which I have so many stories that come back from them because we have a very different outlook on things like that. We're not afraid of things like that,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's just bred literally into us with media and conditioning and religion and everything else that makes us fear everything, and my you know I
Yeah.
don't know, I don't like it. But I've traced it back, and it's okay, but I could see where people would not approve of something like that. It's just
Well, when they
intrusive.
brought me to the planet, I asked about my mom, and she appeared, and she was beautiful. She had golden light around her and pink, and
Beautiful.
she says to me, she goes, "The only reason I came to Earth was to bring you in." And I'm like, okay. I
Very nice.
started crying.
Thanks, Mom. I think. Yeah.
I did. I started crying, and I'm like, oh. And then,
Yeah.
but I remember when I was young, at 7, 8 years old, she would always go, "I want to go home. I want to go home." I go, "Mom, you're home already. What do you mean?" She goes,
Right.
"No, home." She goes, there's people are so mean on this planet."
It's true.
She would
Yeah.
say to me, and this is before I had
Many.
remember
Yeah.
my encounters or anything like that. But
Right.
she would always say that. She goes, "Why are people so mean here on this planet?" She would say. So that's
It's a
really
test.
interesting.
I think it's a test. I just want to go in and just make a couple of comments before we get too far back.
Sure.
A regression, Chris, is being hypnotized and going through some of those memories. Sometimes it's past life or just trying to unlock memories.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what she went through. And as far as humans being the darklings, there are a lot of people out there, and a lot of it is, and I'm just going to say it, it's military. There is such a thing as Men in Black, and a lot of experiencers get followed. I know people who've been on the show. I know I just met so many people from, again, all walks of life, who've told their stories, and it's very horrific what they go through. I had somebody break down on the show talking about his experiences at the hands of some of these people, and it's very horrifying.
Mm-hmm.
And because you're an experiencer and they want to know what you're doing, and if you're getting visits and how they can control it or how they can control you.
Oh yeah, they've come in my house, they put poison in my water. I mean, as in,
Wow.
be tired and can't think straight. Uh,
Wow.
yeah, a lot. And then I've been hit by energy weapons in my heart.
Wow. I've heard
Heart,
that one before.
yeah,
Yeah.
heart palpitations, and um, I was just watching Elaine Dion. I always forget how to pronounce her name.
Elena Danon.
Yeah, she's from France.
Yes.
That one.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
Elena. Yeah.
yeah. So she was saying, I go, now it makes sense. She said she was being attacked too and the satellites, and they clock onto your heart. And she goes, and I usually, like, when I feel that, I go into the other room, and she says, yeah, you run because they lock onto your heart, and if you run, it cuts off the beam. And I'm like, oh my God, I have done that many times. And that beam follows you, and you can't see anything, you don't know, and it's crazy. And so what do you do? It's like, I just pray and surround myself with protection.
Mhm.
And it's sad because I didn't do anything. Come on.
I know. And I mean, yeah, being an experiencer, it makes it really hard. I think that's one of the reasons. And I mean, you wrote the book. I speak about it, publicly. I think it's just because this is all I know. And it is, you know, but you know, I think maybe that's why you have beings that'll just say, no, it's for your protection, or you have arrangements, or you make agreements. And for that reason, I mean, they're trying to protect me, then maybe I just don't necessarily need to know everything right now. Maybe it's not the time.
Yeah.
Maybe it will hinder me from doing what I have to do here.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I
I don't question it. It's like you say, they told you when it was time.
Yeah. Well, they kept. I had I had a regression before that, and
Right.
because that was the time was to write the book was 2013. I had the regression in 2005, which was a big difference in time. But I remember all my life I was just wondering about it. What happened there? What happened? I remember floating in the air, coming back to the ground, and the cat, thing, and my mom running out of the house trying to find me, and then that's all I remembered. And so it bugged me, and I would ask a lot of people throughout my life, and they go, oh, "It sounds like you had a godly experience," and I'm like, "No, I'm not getting that. Sorry, but
right.
But it's something else, and I didn't know what it was. But
do you find that gets confusing because some people will say that ET I find that they are very positive and they do respect faith. Many of them respect faith. And there are others who don't really have that respect for faith. But I always say, like, no, there is the creator, whoever that individual may be.
Source, creator, absolutely.
Yeah, it's not just us, basically, right?
Yeah. So the Syrians, when it brought me up into the sun, they're 6D. Okay, 6
right. That's high density.
Yeah.
That's 6 density for people who don't understand. Yeah.
Yes, and it was. I'm going to tell you, it was such high frequency love, the highest frequency love I've never experienced on this planet.
Because we're 3D for the most part on the planet. So just to give you guys an understanding.
It's hard to explain unless you experience it. There's no fear, no hate, no jealousy, no any of those. Those energies are not there. They just don't exist. Right. So, people having those energies in 3D create that frequency in this planet. When I came back, it was like, oh, this is heavy down here.
Right.
It's very heavy.
Right.
And you don't realize it. And so I want to express it. It's pure love there. So
I love it. Yeah. I love it. So with that being said, then, for the most part, it's safe to say that all of your experiences have been very loving and very supportive, aside from the human aspect of everything. Now, do you still get followed around? Like, is this still something that's a part of your everyday life? Really?
Yep, I do.
I think it's because you were in Florida. And I'm not even kidding.
Well, that's where it started, was in Florida, not in New York, because I left for Florida. Like,
I bug Joe about it all the time. Stay out of Florida, the military, everything right there.
Yeah, so I'm going to just tell you my age. It was like 70s, 80s, and then, I was 20, 30s, 30-something years old when I moved to Florida. So nothing like that happened to me before in New York. Till I had the experience in Florida. I think it was like about 1993 or 4, and that started happening in Florida.
So do you say, is that where you started having the human experience, right there? To your knowledge, having the human experience, like being followed and being.
Yeah. It started in Florida. Started in Florida.
Joe, I hope you're listening right now. When I say stay the hell out of Florida, I mean it. At least for that. So
yeah, it's sad.
It's winky, when you think about it.
It's like they just, it's not fair. They don't want, they must know, obviously they must know they don't want the beings that I've connected with, they don't want me to talk about them. No. They don't want me to tell everybody there's loving beings out there, because they still want to control the planet. That's it. That's the dark side, deep state, dark side, whatever you want to call it. There's a Illuminati.
Sure. Yeah. I completely am with you on all of that because, control, it's all about control. And let's face it, the war machine has to keep going. It has to keep generating those budgets. War makes money, right? So now there's
So against war.
right,
It's so
right.
stupid. It's I go, those little kids are still playing with those stupid toys. I say. They're kids, they're stupid.
They're not playing nice in the sandbox.
Yeah.
I know. So, do you think with this, and this is just something because it's new that I've been throwing in when I speak with people, but what do you think about this whole disclosure thing that,
Well,
because
they
the
were
world looks to America, let's face it. So,
they okay. I know a lot of inside information. So anyway, the point
right,
is they were, remember when the Jetsons came out and all these things, what was that? God, 70s, 60s, I don't even remember. They were going to do
right.
disclosure back then.
Mm,
Then I don't know who came in and said no.
right,
They said no. But disclosure was supposed to happen a long time ago. Even they're getting people ready for it. But I've met Randy Kramer. You know who Randy Kramer is?
yes, yeah, great guy. Yep.
I do a conference called Cosmic Awakening for the last 7 years, and I had him as one of my speakers. About 2019, 2020, something like that. It was right after COVID.
Right.
And he told everybody that there's going to be a fake alien attack.
Project Blue
So
Beam.
the whole audience told everybody, it's not just me, so don't get on my case.
Just a messenger. Yeah.
Thousands of people. Okay, so talk to Randy. Okay,
Right.
around. No.
Right.
So he said, yeah, and he said it's going to be very negative. And actually, he announced that on Gaia TV, also on
Right.
Cosmic Disclosure. He's mentioned it.
Right.
So he was. I said, are people going to get hurt? He goes, yes, a lot. And I go,
Right.
that is sick, Randy. He goes, well, it's to wake people up. I go, no, it's not. I said, he stayed with me for 3 days, and I said, that's brainwash. That's bullshit. I'm going to just say it.
Yeah. Yes. So there. I know. No, I agree because there always has to be an enemy, right? Because how do you just, like I said, keep that big fat military budget coming your way? There has to be an enemy. And if they agreed that they've been doing this for all these years, because something changed in and around Roswell. I think something changed at that point, or something changed during the war when that nuclear bomb went off. I can imagine there was a ripple effect felt in many dimensions in that time and space, which captured attention because we know extraterrestrials have been around for thousands of years. I mean, my God, millions of years. We're not the first kick of the can of the planet. I say it all the time. The Earth is giving up her secrets. We're finding all the stuff underwater in the mountains, hieroglyphs, petroglyphs. I mean, ancient monuments. Come on. So if they come out and say, yeah, okay, we knew about it, then they have to admit.
Well, they don't want it. That's another reason what Randy told me personally. He goes, it is to cover up their lies. So.
Right. Yes. Well, then they have to admit that they know that people have been abducted or that maybe they partook in that as well. How do you think that would go over well with the people of this planet?
Yeah. Well,
very poorly, I would say.
They came down here when the atomic bomb was being tested and said, what are you kids up to now? We got to, it doesn't do a ripple effect throughout the universe.
Yeah.
And they come down here, and actually the Syrians have told me too that they come down here and dismantle the nuclear weapons.
Yes,
they definitely. Yes. That's one of the. He said we're not the only ones that the other groups. I don't know. They didn't tell me who the other groups were. Star systems, but they definitely do that, and they actually told me and they showed me on a screen too. They said the planet is extremely polluted, and they showed me a picture of the planet. They said, this is the way we see it. That's what they said. It was full of brown, gray smoke.
Right.
And that was in 2013. They said, this is the way it looks like. And they said, if we didn't clean up the planet, it would look like this. And they showed me a black piece of black charcoal.
Wow.
A dead planet, they said. I'm going to be honest. I'm just going to say it like it is.
Yeah, no, please. We don't take care of our things here. and
No.
Seriously, we don't take care of this planet the way we should. We don't treat one another like we should, at least on an average. I mean, there's a lot of really good people out there. I don't want to minimize that, who do really amazing things for other people and for nature and wildlife. But on an average, it just doesn't seem to be a priority with the powers that be.
Yeah.
I mean, they're dumping garbage in the oceans. They're hunting things to extinction. That has to stop.
It's very frustrating. Yeah. I do agree with the electric car thing. Of course. I mean, they were supposed to do that a long time ago, actually. But
it's hard on the planet, though. Those batteries, very hard on the planet.
Batteries, well, they can find us. There's other ways,
It would have to be, because they're digging down and they do more harm to the planet doing that than getting gasoline or fossil fuels.
I don't know.
Because I thought it was great too till I researched it. I went, ooh.
Oh, really? See, I didn't know that.
Yeah. But hey, what do I know? I'm not an expert in that field, so I just shut my mouth and go. I think any step in the right direction is, the step in the right direction. It's the way to do it.
Is there questions at all?
No.
No? They're listening.
Nope. A lot of comments.
Well,
yes.
I want to tell you my New Orleans story.
Please do.
So I am first time was touring, in the rock band, and coming back from Kansas, going to Florida.
Right. Florida.
And I get this voice message. It goes, go to New Orleans, French Quarters. I've never been.
Okay.
Never been. So I said, they go now, and it's like, okay, we're on the way back. We stop there. Well, what happened was, when we got to New Orleans, I recognized so many people. I said, I know that person. I've hung out with that person. Wait a minute. I know the lady that's standing on the bus stop. What is going on here? This is very strange. I know this place. I've never been here before, but I know this place.
Did you see Joe?
Maybe. I don't know.
I'm telling you, probably did.
Everywhere I looked, I was like, I know that person. I even looked at their faces. Do you recognize me? Kind of look. And no one recognized me. And I'm like, what is going on here? So then I walk in a coffee shop, and for the road, get some coffee for the road. And I walk in, and there's these like 4 guys at a table, and they all turned around and looked at me, and I didn't recognize them. Right. And the one guy goes, oh yeah, she's a drummer. And I'm like, what? How does this guy know? I didn't recognize him. And I'm like, okay. So driving out of there, I had to put blinders on, because everyone I looked at, I knew. I still to this day, I don't know what that is, except for that night when I went to bed, they reminded me of a dream where they had me in a ship, and they landed in New Orleans and dropped me off. And in the dream, I said, why are you dropping me off here? This is not where I live. And then the dream was gone. So something happened. Still, I probably need another session on that one.
Well, you know how close it is to Florida, right?
Here, no, and then when I moved to, I live in Sedona now.
Right.
So on the way to Sedona, my move, I stopped in New Orleans. I said, I want to see if that happens to me again. Okay. Well, it didn't happen. I mean, I didn't recognize anybody, but this guy recognized me, and he started following me around. I was walking in the park, having lunch, in French Quarters, and he started following me around. He was starting to get creepy, and I go, what do you want? He goes, you're supposed to have my book. you're supposed to have my book. And I'm like, what? And I turned around and I go, okay, I'll buy your book. And he goes, it's about UFOs and about ETs. Yeah. And so I bought it from him, and I get here, and I don't know anybody here. I just moved here, right? And then the first people I met, I told him about the situation in New Orleans. He goes, oh, it was the guy, I forgot the guy's name. This is 23 years ago. So was the guy's name this and this? I said, yeah. He goes, we're in his book. And I'm like, the first people I meet, they're in his book. I'm supposed to have this. And he goes, we were always wondering about him. Can you give me a copy or can you lend me the book? I said, sure. I mean, there's no coincidences there.
I don't believe in coincidence.
No.
Only synchronicity.
Yeah.
That's wiggy.
I tell you, it's trippy.
Yes.
Twilight Zone.
Yes. It's like, that is freaky. That is freaky.
Yeah.
Knight wants to know if you believe in Fae.
Faith?
The Fae. F-E-Y. Fairies?
Fairies,
Fae?
yes. I've seen them, actually. Yeah.
I find it's so, I find them extremely fascinating because they go back so long ago and they were so interactive with.
Well, I'll tell you where they are in the United States is the Redwood Forest. They're there. They're still there. And my friend that lives in Ireland, she said they're all over the place in the forest there.
Yes.
And trolls or whatever we call them, the gnomes or whatever.
Oh, I'm not a fan of gnomes, but they were in the newspaper a couple of years ago in Iceland. I believe it's one of the Scandinavian countries, Iceland, when they were trying to put in a major highway and there was a tree in the way and they were going to take it down and gnomes started sabotaging the entire site. So now the highway goes like this around the tree.
Wow. Good. It was their tree. It
was their tree. Yeah. So I'm like, dang. So,
Sacred tree.
Yes.
Well, they're nature, they're nature beings. And I guess I do believe in it because I've seen them in the Redwood Forest.
Right.
It's beautiful. They're very tiny and they're very shy. Well,
because I've seen them too. They're fun.
Probably scared of humans.
Right. Yeah, more fun than the humans. But they have some that are pretty big and not so friendly. They're not your total like Tinkerbell type.
Yeah. Well, I only saw the small little ones, and they look like dragonfly wings almost.
Yeah.
Like that translucent.
Yes.
But they were butterfly, but translucent dragonfly wings. If that's the way I can describe them.
Yes, I know. I love that. They're much friendlier than the little ones. But a lot of the druids were used to have encounters with them. And again, they were very interactive with humanity as healers and helping, very magical type beings until the church came along and restructured things and they kind of went underground, so to speak. So I believe they're definitely still there. And I love that about it. I think there's a whole other world, dimensionally speaking.
There's many worlds.
Yes.
Many.
Yes, exactly. Tamara says, don't mess with the Fae. Their rules are different than ours, and there is no good or bad. The rules lay in the gray zone. This is true.
Mm-hmm.
This is true. I love it. Hold on. There are ones that are as big as us and terrifying. Yes.
Really? I didn't know that. I never met them.
Yeah, I know. It's like, So what are your thoughts on some of the cryptids?
The what?
Bigfoot. All these sightings of these, of these beings in cryptozoology, do they fall under extraterrestrial, do you think, or are they interdimensional? They just pass in through portals, and I know through remote viewing you can see a lot of that.
Yeah, I've seen 2 times. I've seen the Bigfoot, one in Tennessee and one in 3 o'clock in the morning in my neighbor's backyard.
Okay, see, that would be a bit unnerving. Right there.
Well,
I don't know how I do with that.
I went out. I was up. I got out. Woke up and I went outside because I always like to look at the stars.
Yes.
And I see this it looked like a tent, and it was full of light. It was lit up, but you could see inside of it, and there was a Bigfoot in there, and he was messy. He was doing something.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, I mean, I watched him for maybe 3 minutes, and poof, he disappeared. The whole thing disappeared.
See?
I know it wasn't dreaming.
No.
And I'm not
Portal.
sure if I've heard they're from the inner Earth or they get interdimensional, but I didn't.
Has to be portal. I mean,
they-
there's
they-
people who said that they've seen him in footprints just stop, and just like you say, gone.
Yeah. And then in Tennessee, I heard them, and I heard them knocking on the trees. They knock on the trees with each other for messages, talking to each other. And I was, and I heard them. I can't even mimic what they say or how they talk because I've never heard anything like that in my life.
Right.
But like, blah, 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 but they were talking to each other.
Right.
And they wanted my attention because I know I'm a nature lover, and I'm in the middle of nowhere in Tennessee. And my old bass players, he has 300 acres in the middle of nowhere.
So you thought it was abandoned?
And don't think I'm crazy, but I was talking to the frogs, okay? Because they were all singing and doing this whole song, and I'm like, woo, woo, and I'm talking to them. Then all of a sudden, the Bigfoot started coming in, and I'm like, and this is daytime. And I'm like, okay, that's Bigfoot. So that's my experience, basically.
Things just got real.
Yeah, I think I like the frog song, or something.
Right. Well, yeah, you just get that whole wild woman theme going out there, and you just open yourself up to.
I felt they were very nature-like. The Bigfoot, very very nature. They're not. They're more. I think they're more afraid of us than than.
You think so?
I really do. Yeah, because I do.
Right. Because you do hear stories of cannibalism and such. And I think, gosh, that's kind of frightening as well. Alaska. What was that? What was that show? I had one of the trackers from Alaska, a show called Alaskan Killer Bigfoot.
Oh, really?
Yes.
And they were cannibals? Like Bigfoot was cannibal?
Yeah. This goes back to the show was actually about the Native Americans in the area who wanted to go back to the area, and they hadn't been there since the 70s. And this region had horrific things that had happened to it. I mean, they had their own mill. It was very successful. And then they started finding things that went back to the 1700s,
Wow.
Just through excavation. And they decide let's send all the youngsters out there, 20s, 30s, go and see if it's safe, because they wanted to come back because it was a really nice area. And it was actually not a bad show. Like, they really, really went out of their way to investigate it the best they could. And it was really terrifying to these poor guys. And this is some of the Portlock, Alaska. Thank you, Wayne. Portlock, Alaska. And the elders were like, well, you need to get this all figured out. And these poor guys, all the research that they did, and people went like disappearing. Like, people from the tribe had disappeared and showed up. Sometimes you get the odd one that would show up dead, and you could see that they had been, attacked.
I'm not familiar with that situation.
It's fairly new, so it's just kind of like, God, that's just horrifying. But I don't know. I just passed it along. It's just interesting. But let's get back to the angels and ET. So, angels, do you think, with our conditioning, angels and demons, do you think people are really seeing a type of extraterrestrial race on both counts?
The angels have, there was different ones that have contacted me, and they are, They actually see the ETs. Let me just say it this way.
Okay.
The best that I can explain. The ETs are out there, way out, like in the planets. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
the angels are right here, surrounding the Earth, helping us, and they're higher dimensional beings, 4 or 5D. You know, I guess we're all ETs. You know,
Right. Yeah.
but they hover, and they're right here and right now. They're closer, to help
Mm-hmm.
us. I was over. Like, here's one of my stories. I was overnight in the Great Pyramid in 1997.
Great
Uh,
place. Yeah.
yeah, with the group, and did an activation with my drum in the King's Chamber. I know this is gonna sound crazy, but listen to me.
I've been, so I'm with you on it.
Well, the spirit guides, I call them. I said, bring your drum to activate the pyramid. It's been dormant for eons. So
Right.
I did. So
Right.
the group did a whole ceremony, and then they went downstairs in the lower part of the pyramid. I stayed up the King's Chamber and did the ceremony. So as soon as I finished that, started going downstairs, and I hear it announces himself. This is Archangel Gabriel. And he tells me, this is how he talked. He goes, and he tells me the message: color, light, sound. 7 is the sacred number. 7 is the sacred number. Color, light, sound. 7 is the sacred number. He kept repeating this over and over and over again.
Mm.
So I said, oh, he's talking about the 7 colors of the rainbow. He's talking about the chakras.
Yes.
He's telling me there's an activational tone for each chakra.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so excited when he's telling me this information. I wanted to go home and write a CD right away. Now, this is before sound healing through the chakras was even known. It was in 1997.
Wow.
And I didn't know any chakra CDs out then. And I went home and I wrote the Chakra Journey CD I have. And it's, matter of fact, it's #1 with Monroe Institute, Hemi Sync, to this day for 12 years running. Yes. But I came home and started writing it, figuring out the tones, and Gabriel came to my house and helped me write the CD. So the CD is not all me. It's the help with Archangel Gabriel. And by the way, Archangel Gabriel is a musician. Come blow your horn. He's a horn player.
That's right. The horns of Gabriel.
I'll put the 2 and 2 together.
The horn of Gabriel. Yeah.
He's a horn player, I call him.
Right. It's true.
So that's the way I talk. So
yeah.
So yes, they're right there. They help me. And said he's my guide, and he said he's worked with me all the time, and pretty cool. So
Wayne says, a good friend of mine told me when he was young, he thought that everyone could see musical sounds and colors, and that those colors were an actual language.
Yeah.
Sounds like an experiencer.
Yeah. Well, colors are sound. They're at a high frequency that we can't hear them, but they emanate a frequency of sound. That's what I've been told and heard.
Right.
So color, light, sound. That's why I work with the as a sound healer. I work with color, light, and sound, not just sound.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I find the whole thing completely fascinating. Mm-hmm. I have to take a quick. I have to do a quick sponsor and station ID. So for anyone just tuning in, you are listening to The Outer Realm, and our guest tonight is Devara. ThunderBeat. Did I get that right? Thank you. See, I listen. Anyway, we are broadcasting live on United Public Radio Network, UFO, Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 and 107.7 FM from the beautiful city of New Orleans. We are fully sponsored by the amazing people over at Folgers Coffee, who have been a part of our journey since day one. So thank you, Folgers. Also, big thank you to Justin Snicker, a.k.a. Dr. Snick, the Sonic Surgeon, for his voice, his music, and his time. He is responsible for the intro and outro intro on the show. He's an award-winning composer of Halloween horror, sci-fi, and dark wave electronic music, which can be found on all of your favorite streaming platforms. Big thank you to Steve McGinnis, the artist behind all of our banners and logos here at the show. Check him out on Facebook and Instagram. He does a lot of animation for books and comic books and pretty much anything. He has amazing commission pieces, but he does specialize in the horror genre as well. So check him out, Instagram, Facebook. And now back to our special guest. So, and yes, thank you, Tamara. I always forget. Please like, share, and subscribe. Absolutely. See, this Amelia usually does all this, so you'll have to forgive me. But anyway. So, do you still to this day have experiences?
No, not that I remember. I mean, I do get downloads. I call them downloads.
Yes,
knowledge, messages.
Yes,
and but I don't. They don't take me up in the ships anymore, or anything like that. Not that I know of. There's a lot of ETs around that walk around, so
yes,
it could be anywhere. I now that I think about it, I was in the grocery store. No, they were not my, I guess, star family, but it was. You just reminded me of a situation. This is not in my book. This is only like about 6 months ago. I'm at a natural grocery store, and I can hear different frequencies. I can hear 3 frequencies lower than normal and 3 frequencies higher than normal. And I'm in the grocery store and I hear this boom, boom, boom. And I look up and it's this blonde, blue-eyed, gorgeous woman, but she looked like 6 foot tall and like she didn't look huge, but she was like, when she walked, you could hear the frequencies, but no one else could hear it. And I looked at her and I went, whoa, I know you're an ET. You're either from the inner earth or you're Palladian. I felt.
Right.
And she looked at me and went like that again.
Wow.
Yeah. And right. I was actually stunned because I didn't expect her to see it in the grocery store.
Of all places.
And I watched what she was buying. She was buying dark chocolate.
Supposed to be good for you.
Yeah. Interesting.
Especially the dark chocolate. So
yeah, she got the dark owl or whatever you call it.
So I think we always make reference to extraterrestrial being off planet, but I think there are many of them who have always been, inner Earth and who have always been in the oceans, in the mountains. Mm-hmm. I always go back to referencing the Hopi, who talked about their friends, the ant people, which sounded a whole lot like Grace to me, with the really big heads, skinny little things with really big heads. And
it could be, because I thought about that same thing, but there is ant people, when I met on the Andromedan ship, and very ant-like, but I don't know. I know the Hopis, and they just relay them, that was so hundreds and hundreds of years ago.
Yes.
Coming out of the Grand Canyon. So
part of their oral history.
Yeah, the oral history.
Yeah.
But they and there's stories where there's been UFO crashes with races on them that they can't, repair their ships and leave, and then they end up living here on the planet. So that happens too.
Yes,
more than we know, but they usually like I don't know, but I have put a correlation together with the Native American, the red race they call them, mm-hmm. and the Egyptians, and the Egyptian race call themselves the Crimson race.
Interesting.
And so red and crimson are the same color.
Yes.
And I have found here in Sedona, Arizona, I have found ancient Egypt here. And that's my latest book. And we could talk about that another time. That's a whole another story.
Oh, it is. You're coming back in November for that, I believe. Let me just have a quick look because I want to make sure that everybody.
And that's going to be fun. I'm just so excited about
October. October 12th.
Oh, good. 14 major gods and goddesses I found in the rocks. It's no coincidence here.
Right. Right.
We'll show pictures to show so people.
Oh, absolutely. But I mean, it's Sedona. Sedona has everything. You guys have, I mean, we know that there's natural, portals. Or, that means some people call them stargates all over the planet.
Or vortexes, they call them.
Vortexes, exactly. And you guys have a big one.
We have many of them. Oh, yeah. No, we have hundreds of them.
Wow.
Yeah,
so what is it about Sedona that, the UFOs flock to and all these portals? What is it about this area?
Because of the portals. I don't know why. Okay, well, let me explain portals and vortexes and stargates. There's male and female ones, I'm going to just say. And the male ones go out. They actually for leaving, let's say, the planet.
Right.
And the female ones go to the inner Earth. So there's both kind of vortexes here, as they call it.
Okay.
I've experienced them. You can feel them. You stand in them. You don't see them, but then you're hiking, and then all of a sudden you start spinning and get some like vertigo. And you can tell by the spin. Let's say if it's female, you feel like you're being pulled down. You actually feel like you're being pulled down, and then the other ones you feel like you're actually lifting off the ground.
Right.
It's very interesting, and they're all they talk about 5 or 7 here. No, there's hundreds. And then when you physically see them or physically proof of them is a lot of the trees here grow like this. So they're in a vortex. They're growing.
Crazy.
Because you won't see that like a juniper tree like growing like that. That's they're growing in the energy of a vortex, and I show that to people.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that's hundreds. I gotta get my ass down to Sedona.
I mean, you could go out hiking on a trail and find like a 7 or 8 just on one trail. And we have hundreds of trails. So.
Right. And you guys have like a lot, like you have many UFO tours. People come down specifically to Sedona to experience having, I guess the CE5 seems to be the really big a really big thing now, calling them out to communicate with them. Have you heard of the CE5?
Oh, yeah.
What do you think about that? Do you think people?
Yeah, I've been on the tours. I have 3 dear friends that do all that. Do the tours, and there's a meditation that you call them, or my friend John Polk. He does the UFOs. We say hi to him, hi. And actually the ships through the goggles will actually light up and then get dim again like that.
Right.
Saying hi. So every time I have been out on an hour UFO night vision tour, I have seen at least 40 to 50. No, swear to God. No, I mean,
they're
all over the place. They're all over.
Right.
And I'm not sure if it's just here. I'm trying to think. That's the only time I've ever done night vision was basically here. So well, contact in the desert, but it wasn't as many. But there, that was in California. But there's. I don't know if it's here or I don't know.
Well, I know upstate New York. Southern parts of Canada. For me, if I just wanted communication, I just telepathically put it out there, and then I'll have an experience like almost immediately. And I've seen what you're talking about, and there's times where I just be driving. I say, "Where are you?" And I look up and I'll see,
right,
just like that. Yeah. It's just like a big boop, boop, gone. It's like,
Yeah.
all right, thank you.
And that's what they do. It's like we say hi, we want to say hi. We'll see them like this, like an orb.
Yeah.
And then we say hi, and they go boop boop.
Yes. Yes. So I think, did you find that it works better if like for some, Joe has this theory that only experiencers will experience this. And I'm kind of like, well, that's just shoddy. And,
Oh,
but do you find anybody can have this experience if they want it?
Well, I don't know that, but I mean, I know in the night vision, they see them, they can communicate. Anybody can
Yeah.
meditate and communicate with them. I'm going to say yes, but I'm not sure if they'll take them up.
Right. Right. No, but I mean, I think, having the experience, because now I think there's apps that you can use to do this. So, some people are very leery. They're like, well, you never know who you're bringing forward. Like, you wouldn't want to bring forward my lab, for example. It just might not go. Just don't do it in Florida, people. That's all. Don't do it in Florida. Go to Sedona.
I'm sorry I moved there. But
I know. Go hang with Devara. Just do it.
I moved there to take care of my mom. She needed me, so
yeah. I think you're in a perfect place, though.
Oh yeah,
for everything that you do.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I came here. I've always been very creative, but when I got here, it tripled.
Yes,
it really did. It's just very nice. I felt home here more than I've ever been, and I've traveled all over the world. And I felt when I got here, my friends brought me here, and they said, "When are you going to go to Sedona?" I said, "Never heard of it." They said, "What? It's totally your energy." They literally dragged me out here and watched what I would say when I saw the red rocks, and I said, "Oh, Sedona." And I never saw pictures of it before. I said, "This is the ancient city of golden light." Exactly what I said. And what I did, you'll like this story. I went, and I was living in Florida at the time in 2 rock bands at the time. I came home from Sedona. We were here a week, and I gave my 3 months notice to the bands, both the bands, and said, "I'm going home. I didn't know a soul here, but I really felt home here out of everywhere,
Right.
So I came home, and I've been here now 23 years.
Wow.
How much time do we have? Do I have time for one more story?
You do, please.
Well, I got to tell you the Gray story, because the Grays I met, I've never met any of the Grays on the ships, and this was by a fluke. They weren't coming after me.
Right.
But I was down in the Mayan lands and Chichen Itza, and it was the March 21st spring equinox, where they have like 5,000 to 7,000 people show up. And my first time down there, and been wanting to go for years. And I get down there, and they rope it all off, and no one's allowed to climb the pyramid at that time because of so many people are there.
Yes.
I said, I didn't know that. I didn't come this far not to climb the pyramid or go into the pyramid.
Right.
This rebel here. And then, and I see this doorway on the side of the pyramid. And I said to my friend, I went with a group, sat with one of the girls. I said, "Watch my back. I'm going to go through that doorway. I'm going to sneak in there." And she watched me go into the doorway, and she said I disappeared before I even got there. Because I kept saying, "I don't want to be seen. I don't want to be seen. I don't want to be seen." I mean, things can happen.
Right.
So I got inside this doorway, and it's pitch black, and I can't see. And I'm like, darn. And because they had all the lights off. And I said, so I can take my third eye, and I start and do remote viewing, what they call remote viewing. I call it third eye activation. Been doing it before they even called it remote viewing. Okay.
Right.
So I found the stairway through my third eye, and I started climbing the stairway etherically, not physically. And 6 Grays come running down the stairway. And we were talking mental telepathy, and they said they were more afraid than I was. They were going, "You can't be in here. You can't be in here. You got to go. Get out. You can't be in here." I said, "Okay, I'm leaving." And so I backed out, and I walked out, And then and the girl goes, "What's in there?" I go, "Some grazer in there doing something." And I real casually, she went, "What?" I said, "Well, they didn't want me in there. They're doing something in there. I have no clue what they're doing, but they didn't want me to know. That's for sure." And they were pretty upset, or pretty. They looked more scared, and they were like half robotic and half feelings. That's what I got from them. They were emotional but robotic. If that makes sense.
Right. An emotional AI.
Emotional
Got a little bit of a blend there.
hybrid, I don't
Yeah,
know.
who knows? Yeah,
So,
yeah.
so they were doing something on the equinoxes there. So that's
Yeah,
interesting.
ancient structure as well, right? So,
Yeah.
gosh, you never know. But it's fascinating. It goes to show you, though, that you just never know where you're going to run into them.
Right. Right.
You
And they
know,
didn't expect anybody sneaking into the pyramid because you'd go to jail for who knows how long to do that. I'm serious if I got caught. In
yeah, they don't.
Mexico, they don't tolerate that,
No, that's true. That's true. Like Egypt, you could just pay your way through pretty much everything.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time in the pyramid, like by myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
The temple guards, you pay them $20. Well, back when,
well,
30
that's a
bucks.
month's rent for them
Yeah.
at the time.
50, $40. You go into in between the paws of the Sphinx, which is not allowed.
No, that's true. That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
I know because there's a picture of me sitting next to a sign that says "Don't climb the pyramids," and I'm up at the top of the pyramid. So
That's a big climb.
it was a big climb. Sure
Yeah.
was. Especially, in the like dead of August. So by the time I got up there, I said, I don't think I'm ever gonna be able to leave. I was just beat. But it was just, all for the experience.
That's intense. Yeah.
I know. But I am really thrilled that you joined me tonight. It's just such a delight having you here, spending some time with me. What do you have coming up between now and the next time you're on the show in October that you want to share with everybody? Promote the books, promote yourself. Go, go, go.
Well, speaking of pyramids, I'm doing a pyramid conference in Chicago, 22nd, 23rd, 24th. So I'll be speaking there, and it's the coolest conference. The guy Sam he discovered the Bosnia pyramid. He'll be there speaking about the Bosnia pyramid of the sun.
Wow.
And I spent some time in Bosnia just actually a couple months ago, and there's not just one pyramid there. They found 9.
Wow.
Yeah. And
that's a pretty substantial, the one. It's a pretty big guy.
The pyramid of the sun, they get the pyramid of the moon, pyramid of the dragon. They have 9 of them.
Right.
Anyway, so that's going to be fun. So anybody in Chicago, look it up. Pyramid Conference in Chicago. That's going to be coming up like I said, the 22nd, 23rd of September.
Very nice.
So that's my next venture. And then yes, my book. You got a copy of my book.
There it is. I'm going to put it right back up here too. Bam.
You get that from my website, ThunderBeat.com,
which is scrolling along.
I have a PDF file you can download, very inexpensive, $12, something like that.
Nice.
And, my regular book, and it's a fun read. Trust me, it's a lot of people go, "Oh, I can't put this book down." It's like, cool.
Good. That's what I want to hear.
Yeah, and I have my download site. You can listen to all my music for free. It's all activational. It will take you on journeys. A lot of people remember so many things of their past lives, or
love it.
Every CD I think I do is different. Like I have a Native American CD. I have a cosmic CD. I have an Egyptian CD. I have a Mayan CD. I have five different sound healing CDs, Ascension CD. I've been at work, okay?
You have been. I was perusing your website. There's a lot of fun stuff there.
This is all for you guys to help, raise your frequency, get rid of all that fear and all that good stuff, all that bad stuff, I should say. But you can listen to my music for free on my download site at Sirius, like the star, SIRIUS, SiriusStargate.com. So you can listen to it. If you like it, download it. It's very inexpensive and helps me keep doing my work and inspires me. So yeah, and I have even some of my heavy progressive rock stuff when I played full drums. That a band called Mind's Eye, very cool band.
Oh, if you
Yeah,
only knew then.
right.
Which you know now.
And when I
No
moved to Sedona,
coincidence.
that's when I went solo. I went solo and I bought a recording studio and started
Yeah,
writing all this
right.
music. And yeah, it's definitely journey stuff. So I
Oh,
know, I guarantee you like it.
oh, I have no doubt. Like I said, I was perusing and just having a really great time, and I'll be back on there absolutely. So I'm really looking forward to the next segment where we talk about ancient Egypt and Sedona.
Yeah,
So you guys are going to have to definitely tune in for that one on October the 12th. And I've just to segue into that a little bit. It's fascinating to have everything happening in Sedona because there's so much that they're talking about with the Grand Canyon
yes,
as
I
well.
heard
And of
it.
course, they're trying to put that off as, oh, it's just a hoax, but yet they don't let you anywhere near it.
I have the pictures of proof of stuff in the Grand Canyon. I've done my research. I've even found other things that I'll be talking. I'm going to save it for then, though. All around the Phoenix and besides just the Grand Canyon, they found stuff in Phoenix, which is 2 hours south of here. Found
Right.
stuff in Lake Powell, which is 3 hours north of here. It's all around, all
It's all
Egyptian
around.
stuff. So,
Yes.
and I'll send you a copy of the book so you can show people the pictures. And
Thank you.
yeah,
Yes.
I'll
Thank
email
you.
that to you.
I love it, and I can't wait. It's going to be super exciting.
Thank you so
And
much for the support, all my work for the people in the planet. So that's
yes,
what I'm here to do is to help.
and you do tours as well
I
on the
do.
ancient Egypt tours
I
as well.
do. I
So
do.
can they reach you on your website to try if they
Mhm.
want to do a tour?
Yep, they can. If you come to Sedona, just go to thunderbeat.com and you can call me and schedule. Absolutely. It's so much fun. It's a 2 hour tour showing
Right.
you all kinds and it's it's not just Egypt here. I mean, I found Kuan Yin and Ganesh and many different cultures. Yes. I found
Wow.
dragons. I found birds. I
I love
found
dragons.
oh my god, the list goes on and on and on and on and on. So yeah, oh my god, it's like kings and queens. This was definitely, I think, Atlantis. I really think it's a part of Atlantis. So
Oh, so
yeah,
I like that twist. That's really interesting.
so I show a lot of that on the tour, the kings and queens. I mean, it's not just Egypt. There's more stuff there.
It's a special place. Sedona's a really special
It's like
place.
a library here. I really feel that.
Right, right. As I remember having, I don't know if you've ever been to Lilydale in
Mm-mm.
upstate New York, which
Where's
is the largest spiritual community like on this side of the world.
that?
Abraham Lincoln's been, he and his wife used to go all the time. Harry
Where is
Houdini
that
tried
compared to
everything to
Rochester?
debunk them. You should go. The summer times are great because they have a lot of events and they have a lot of speakers,
I'm gonna
but
write
they're open year round and they have some of the best mediums like ever. I mean, some of the mediums have been there 40, 50 years,
Where,
you know.
where, where is that compared to Rochester, New York?
No, upstate New York, it's called Lilydale. It's near Fredonia.
Fredonia. Where's Fredonia?
Fredonia. Jamestown.
Okay, I
Okay,
know.
up in that area.
It's not far from Rochester. It's like about
Yeah,
20
not
hours.
it's not too far. No, it's actually it's pretty cool. It's beautiful.
I didn't know about it.
But I'm surprised you haven't heard about it. You're like right
I
up
left.
there.
I left Rochester at 18, then moved to New York
Yeah,
City.
but
So I
they've
was
been there that long. Yeah,
huh?
I mean the Fox sisters. It's been there since 1800s. So the
Wow.
whole Victorian spiritual movement, and still going strong. You know, they have the fairy woods. They have all that. But I went and I had a painting done because I got a reading, and she just did paintings, and
That's
she
cool.
painted the red rocks, and she
Mhm.
goes, one of your guides is a native chief from the Red Rock Mountains, and she says,
Really?
and yeah, she says
Let's
you've
come out and visit
had
me.
a life here. I know, right? It's like, what? No.
We got a friend in Sedona now.
Woohoo! I love it. I love it. I'll
Yep.
come hang with you to your tours. It'd be great. Maybe we'll get beamed up together.
Yep.
Not in Florida. Just saying. I just keep stressing that. But anyway, so thank you for joining me. And I will email you and I will send you links and all that stuff. So you have it all.
All right. Well, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure and fun. So,
Thank you. Thank you. Fun indeed and always a pleasure.
yes. All
Thank
right.
you so much,
Many
Devara.
blessings, everybody.
Hey, night night.
Bye-bye.
Well, we have definitely come to the end of another fantastic segment. She's just delightful. Truly, truly had a great time with this lady. Great stories, and she just sounds like somebody you just want to sit and have a drink with and really get down to the all those other stories that you can't necessarily talk about, on the air. So, big thank you to Miss ThunderBeat. I just love her. And check out her website. I have perused it, and she's got some amazing frequency stuff on there. Really, really amazing stuff. Big thank you to Folgers Coffee for sponsoring tonight's show and every night show. Big thank you to Justin Snicker, aka Dr. Snick, the Sonic Surgeon. Big thank you to Steve McGinnis. Amelia and I appreciate you all so very much for being a part of our journey, which is, of course, the outer realm. Tomorrow night, okay, guys, also we have two new people who are going to be coming on, Daniel Duke and Teresa Duke. They are authors and historians, and they are also the great-great-grandchildren of Jesse James. And they're going to have all kinds of information and research, which basically talks about the mysteries that surround Jesse James, his death, everything. It's just the Wild West. You name it, we're going to talk about it. And it gets a lot better because they're definitely booked for a second show. So that tells you right there. But they're going to be presenting all kinds of information. And I have a feeling the show's just gonna seem too short. But anyway, so we'll see you all tomorrow night. Thank you all. Have a great night.